Alright, so according to our map, one says go one way, one says go the other, so what we'll do, I'm just going to follow the Google map right now. I don't know why this is saying this way. Oh. It's acting like I'm coming out the other way. Still, I don't know why it's telling me to go that way. I guess I could go that way. No way that is though. Oh no, I don't want to go that way. Let's go back the same way I came. Alright, so since we got a little bit of a drive here, I was going to go over with everybody and talk about how I got my CDL. So basically, it was last year before COVID started that I wanted to become a over-the-road truck driver, or should I just say a truck driver in general. And so of course I'd get my CDL. So I went and did a lot of research and looked into different companies and so forth, and you have to take a written test first to get your permit, so no matter where you go. Well, some schools actually do have it where you can take your, no, actually correct, I'm incorrect there. So the last school, well, I'll explain a little later about what I did, but you have to get your permit before you go to a trucking school or you go to a company school. So what I did was I went ahead and signed myself up to take the test. Well, the test I believe was on March 24th, and I was sitting there at about 5 o'clock at night on the 23rd, and all of a sudden they shut down everything for coronavirus. They shut down my DMV that I need to take the test at. So I was really bummed out because I was literally going to take it the next morning, I believe 8 o'clock in the morning, so couldn't do it. So with everything being shut down, I think it was about 2 months, and they finally opened everything up, and there was a waiting list. You had to make an appointment and everything, and long story short, it took till like I believe it was May until I took the test. So it kind of prolonged everything. And I was set up with Wilson Logistics out of Springfield, Missouri, to go to their school, and their trucking school, and they were gonna basically put you through school, their school, and then as long as you drove with them for 12 months, they would not charge you anything. Okay, so when I went there in July 2020, and the school guys were good at the school, and they bought you lunch every day, and they put you up in a hotel. Man, they actually paid for my rental car to drive from Florida all the way to Springfield, Missouri, all because of coronavirus. They would have put me in a plane, but with coronavirus, nobody could fly and stuff like that. So long story short, that was really nice. They paid for, let's see, lunch, breakfast at the hotel was free. Turn this down. So breakfast is free, dinner was on you. They didn't have any kind of per diem for dinner. They just basically, you're on your own, so it's no big deal. So I had a hotel room with a refrigerator and a microwave and stuff. So, but I would just order in some food. So anyways, went through their school, guys were good. You went through like 4 days on the pad, which is basically learning how to maneuver a truck, how to back it up, learn about pre-tripping the truck, which I'm going to do a video eventually on pre-tripping. So again, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and I'm going to put out videos for pre-tripping. I'm going to put videos out for moving tandems, weighing a truck, trailer, so get everything set up correctly. So lots of things. So parking, backing into docks and stuff like we just did, stuff like that I'm going to do. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when I set new videos out. So in any case, did that. Then what they have at that school, they have it where you do 2 weeks of driving with a trainer. So basically, you go out with him, you're driving your 10 to 11 hour day, and he just sits in the passenger seat. Well, the guy that I had 2 dogs, and I love dogs, but bottom line, save time and everything. This guy was just a slob. Everything was dirty in his truck. The dogs were dirty, and I spent 2 weeks, actually 2.5 weeks with him on the road. Just it took that long to get back to Missouri from where we were. So anyways, he took 1 shower in 2.5 weeks, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, if that's not, I always said to myself, this is the way Wilson does things. You know, if they have the trainers, don't even take showers, you know, more than once every 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I don't know if I want to work for them. So I almost quit because of that, because I just was just really frustrated with him in general. He was a very loud person. He had PTSD, which I found out later he told me. He wasn't taking his medication, he said, and boy, I could tell. So it was just rough, because you sleep together, you spend 24/7 together in a truck. So I was just kind of fit to be tied. So I just was almost ready to quit, but I didn't. I stuck with it because I said to myself, I really want this, and you know, so if anybody out there, you know, has heard horror stories, well, it happens, unfortunately. I did complain to the school about it, or Wilson Logistics, and they promised me they would take care of it. I don't want to go into details. They took care of it by getting me another trainer, and I had a trainer that actually, and by the way, the first person that was my trainer, he actually has been driving for like 30 years, so he had a lot of experience. But the next guy that got me had only had his CDL license for 6 months, and I was his first trainee. And I thought, wow, again, this is just crazy. But in any case, great guy, nice guy. We got along really well. He took showers often. Very clean truck. He was very anal about his truck. And I drove a 2018 Freightliner with the first trainer, and then the second trainer, he had a 2021. Both were lease drivers. You can lease with Wilson Logistics. So in any case, he was a great guy, but they did team driving for training, and I don't remember now if I knew that. I can't remember, but in any case, I couldn't get into it. I just could not get into, while he's driving, I'm in the bed, and we just went around the clock. So my 10-hour break was up, or when I was ready for my 10-hour break, I went ahead and hopped in bed while he drove. Well, we have seatbelts in the bed. They're harnesses that go over top of you. So long story short, a couple times I went flying into the harness, and it was all because his wife would always call all the time, and he apologized, said, oh, I'm sorry, so I almost went through a stop sign, I almost went through a traffic light, blah blah. I had a hard enough time trying to sleep already, but then worrying about that made it even worse. So I decided this just isn't gonna work for me. So I had been talking to Knight Transportation, who I work for now, and they said to me they don't do team driving. So I said, okay, they don't do any team driving. So, but with COVID happening, their school was all filled up, or not filled up, it was all closed because of COVID. So I ended up trying to go with them for the time I had about 10,000 miles under my belt, maybe 12,000, somewhere in that range. They said we need 30,000 or need a certificate. That was the big thing, a certificate. So I said, well, Wilson won't give me one because I didn't finish the program with them because I left. I was going to leave, you know. So they said, well, the only thing you can do is go to a trucking school. So I had to spend $4,200 out of pocket to go to a trucking school, which they put me in an accelerated class. It only took about 2 weeks. So it's basically just driving like 8 hours a day with a trainer, which they were really cool trainers. I went to Sage school. So there's Sages all over the country, I think, but I went to the one in Plant City, Florida. Guys are great. Got my certificate, back tonight. Then I got a trainer. So I had to, they couldn't use my training that I had because I couldn't get a certificate. They used the certificate to verify training, but Knight has it where you have to do 28 days over the road with a trainer. So I'm like, okay, great. So I thought this is gonna be a whole nother headache, going with the trainer and everything else. But trainer I had with Knight was great. He was funny, he was clean, he took showers and so forth, and really great guy, great mentor. I really had a good time with him, so I was happy that I had him as a trainer, and we still talk today. So bottom line is, I kind of went many different ways just because of frustration a little bit, but it doesn't matter if you go to a CDL school, if you go to a company sponsored school, it doesn't matter. A lot of companies will promise you if you stay with them for 12 months, you know, they'll pay for your schooling. You don't have to pay for anything. If you leave though before that, you do have to pay for your schooling. They'll charge you for it, but just try to pick the right company. I went with Knight because it's very close to my home. It's only 8 miles from my house. So far, I've been with them since last, let's see, gotta think here a minute. Last September is when I started with them, with a trainer. And then my trainer and I went out all of October. So it was the end of September. So I went through orientation. Then I did all of October, did my over-the-road training. Graduated to a squire, that's what they call you, to do your first 30,000 miles solo. So I started that about the week before Thanksgiving. So that's about the time I started solo. I passed my squires to become a Knight, I believe about a month ago. And so I did my 30,000 solo. To graduate, you can't have any accidents, can't have any kind of infractions or anything like that. So, been a Knight driver, quote unquote. I graduated to a Knight, like I said, about 3 weeks ago or so. So that's about it. So in the way of my schooling and stuff and what I did. So again, it doesn't matter who you go with, but just remember that, you know, trainers, you know, you're put with somebody and, you know, you gotta live with them in tight quarters for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for about a month. Oh, by the way, Wilson, I forgot, Wilson, the over the road was 30,000 miles, I believe it was, but was really, it ended up being, it was gonna be about 2.5 to 3 months by the time you finish your 30,000 miles. And I don't remember the reason why it would take so long, because I forget some of the details there, but when I did my training with, oh, I know why, because they do refrigerated, so a lot of times you're sitting, so you're not moving as much as you would. Let's say I do dry with Knight, so I basically drop and hook, or I just drop it into a dock and pick up an empty and go to the next place. So, but refrigerated, you sit a lot of times to get live unloads and live loads. So that's why the 30,000 miles would take longer. But I did 30,000 miles between my trainer and I with Knight in, it's 20, actually it ended up being like 34 days, I think it was total. That's how much time it was to do 30,000. But it was, you know, like I said though, just stick with, you know, look, if you don't like your trainer, don't just stay with them. I mean, ask to switch. You know, if you're a problem with a trainer, you know, don't ever worry about asking for another trainer. Just ask for one. A lot of companies will give you the phone number to call in case there's a problem on the road. They'll have somebody else pick you up, you know, have you dropped off at a nearest terminal or something for, if it's a safety reason, let's say. If not, they'll just work you back to the terminal and get you a new trainer. But, you know, definitely stick with it, because it's rough. I mean, it is. I'm not trying to, you know, I don't want to sugarcoat it and say, everybody just go do it, it's gonna be a lot of fun, blah blah. It's not really fun until you're on your own. And I mean by fun, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time away from family and stuff like that. But it's rewarding. At least I find it to be rewarding, taking product from one place to another. But you know, the training part is the toughest part. Besides doing your pre-trip, taking your test, yeah, that's stressful, you know, because you got to do your road test to get your CDL. So that's tough because I had, it's funny because I had, when I did my CDL driving test, well, you do your backing maneuvers. So you do straight line backing, which is basically backing through cones, doing a straight line backing, I believe. It's like 3 tractor lengths, so you just kind of back up straight. And then you got to do your offset. Then you got to do either 90-degree backing, alley docking. Let's see, so it's 90-degree alley dock. Oh, well, there's parallel. Parallel parking was another one. So you had your straight back, you had your offset, and then you had either 90-degree alley dock, or you had blindside parallel or side parallel. So I had the blindside parallel, which, believe it or not, blindsiding you think is the hardest, and it is when you're backing into a dock. But when you do the blindside backing, believe it or not, for parallel parking, it's easier than doing a side. I don't know why, but it just turns out to be easier. But anyways, so when I took my test, you're with a state instructor. So I had a state instructor out of Missouri, and then just happened to be the day that I'm getting tested with him, just you and him. All of a sudden, a state police officer pulled up, and he started getting really nervous. And it's because the state officer was there to check him out. And he said, "Don't worry, she's there to check me out, not you." And boy, he just changed, and he was really nervous. But anyways, I didn't know though she was going to come with us for the ride when I did my ride. So I didn't know that. I thought she was just going to just hang out, watch me, but do my backing maneuvers, but just watching him, make sure he's doing all the check boxes right and everything to pass CDL tests and stuff like that. But ends up being, she went along with us. I'm like, that made me really nervous. But I passed. So, I'm trying to think there's something else that happened too. Something besides that. Oh yeah. So then when you get your, like, I was in Missouri, so they gave me a Missouri pink slip, basically saying, take this back to your state so I can get my Florida CDL, which will be nationwide. I can go anywhere. So when I get to Florida, Florida says to me, again, after I had to make an appointment, go in and stuff like that, wait to do that, they said, oh, we can't take out-of-state schooling. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, oh yeah. And I said, when did this change? And they said, oh, just recently. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I thought I did all this work for nothing when I got signed off in Missouri. Well, I complained about it. I said, you got to look into this. So that just can't be. I called Wilson and I said, hey, they're telling me I got to pay for all this and everything. I mean, I got to go to schooling through Florida and everything else. And somehow it all got worked out and I got my CDL. Now, I don't know, maybe there is something changed, but they did let me through. But long story short, if there is something that's changed, then it has changed. But I don't know, at least in the state of Florida. But so yeah, so that's about it in a nutshell. That's how I got my CDL. But again, just like I said, just stick with it. I know it can be rough. You got a great trainer from the beginning, great, everything's good. But sometimes you don't get that great trainer, but just ask for a new one. But definitely just stick with it. That's the most important thing, is sticking with the program. Okay, you gotta switch schools. Sometimes you can just get out. If you don't like the school or the company, just leave. Just go somewhere else, find a place that, is gonna be a fit for you. Not everything's gonna be a fit, just like when you have your trainer. He or she is not gonna be a perfect fit. Not everybody's gonna get along, so. But, so in any case, that's what I got for now. If anything else comes up on the way home here, I will jump back on. But I never been this part of Florida before. It's like Homosassa, Crystal River, it's all that area. So it says I'll be home or back in the yard about 7:25 p.m. So it's now about 540. So I'm just going to drive along here, and like I said, if anything else comes up, I'll hit the camera button. But please do hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. And again, I go back on the road. Tomorrow's Easter, so I will be at home tomorrow. I'm not going to be on the road. That's why I did these public runs, so I wouldn't be stuck out in the country somewhere, because I'm normally over the road. So I'm going to go back on Monday, film on Monday, starting Monday, heading out to Alabama. So look forward to having everybody see that video. And I'll do some more backing, and I'll figure out some other topics. If you have any other questions or anything about Wilson Logistics, night transportation, any kind of certain videos you want to see, want me to put out there, just let me know in the comments. I do check the comments every day. Just let me know, and we'll go from there. All right, so we'll talk to y'all soon. Hope everybody's having a great day, and happy Easter, everybody. Take care.